Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel and to the largest video for me to record, my complete collection tour, including all my current work in progress pages and all my completed pages. It's a very large video for me to record, and as such it is split into 6 parts, focusing each part on one shelf of my collection. Each video is still a very long video, so I suggest that you grab a cup of tea or a coffee or some water, grab a snack and get comfy because this is going to be a big video. So a little bit about me before we begin. My name is Amy, aka Amy Ward Art, the colorist behind this channel and also a live stream colorist on Twitch and YouTube as well. And I really love colouring. I started really getting into colouring when an autoimmune arthritic flare-up caused me to lose sensation in my hand and not be able to grip a pencil. And I use colouring as a means to help with the damage that this flare-up has caused to my hand, and in the process felt absolutely in love. I love being able to share different processes, different techniques, and create really beautiful, bright, happy, glittery pages about creating that wonderful, happy little bubble to escape to, especially when things get too tough. I'm based in Aotearoa, New Zealand, and I have a lot of colouring books. Yeah, so we've got quite a bit of a collection to go through. So today's video is Shelf 2. Shelf 2 is another square book series, ones that don't fit into Shelf 1. So it started out being a bit more of my nerdy game related books, TV series, any sort of fandom colouring books, but then it's also got a bit of overspill from Shelf 1s in terms of more natural themed books. It's a really odd layout, but it works for me. So we sort of start natural and then we go into some of the more unnatural spooky mythology and then we go into fandom. So it works for me in terms of how my brain works. Yeah, it's an eclectic collection, but it's Shelf 2 and I do love the books on here. So let's get into Shelf 2. So we're going to start with Melpomeni, Chatzipanagiotou, every time. And we're going to start with Nature Mandalas, which is a mandala book I actually like. It feels very different to my other mandala books. And I have done a little bit in here. I was hospitalized after a fall and I had this in my bag at the time. And it made me kind of fall in love with the book because it was what I had on me and I did a bunch of colouring in it. So we'll start off with this one. This one was done with exactly 7 pencils, and honestly I could have removed the orange and just done it with 6. I just wanted to colour rainbows. I just wanted to colour rainbows. I had a lot of fun just trying to shove as many rainbows as possible into this page, as many possible places I could make rainbow. I made rainbow. It was a lot of fun. I did think initially that I should go over the background and paint it like a navy to really make the rainbow pop, but there's going to be a lot of fiddly colouring in and I don't know if I have the capability of doing it, so maybe one day, but I'm also happy with it on the white. And we also have this one, which I did colour in black, which makes me not want to colour in any other ones black in the background. And that one is just polychromos pencils. And yeah, so I tried to keep a very like browns and neutral tones for this one, which is very difficult for me, but I feel like I did manage to pull it off in the end. So again, this is polychromos pencils, and then I used a black, just like some sort of black ink pen in the finer areas, and then when I got out here I used like a Sharpie to colour in the black of the background, and then it was a little streaky still and I wasn't in love with it, so I did use Posca to draw some stars so it looked more like space. And then the silver is just a silver metallic gel pen, just a generic no name brand one. Does the job. This one here, I love this one. This is one of the ones I did when I was in hospital that made me fall in love with the book. I love the dragonfly. It's so pretty. So this is Polychromos pencils and Posca, and when I got home I added the stickles to the wings. Unfortunately, this did make you lose the detail on the wings because I did shade them in pink, yellow and blue, and it was like this tie-dye pattern. It was really pretty, and then I went over all the little lines with a white Posca, so it looked really pretty. If I'd done a thinner coat of stickles, it still would have shown through, but I applied the stickles kind of thickly, which, I mean, it goes extra glittery, so I don't mind that. And then we have this one here, which is another I want to do mushrooms page. I want to do rainbows page, sorry. So yeah, we did colour in rainbow mushrooms and rainbow snails again. And then I used a black glitter gel pen on the snails. I think initially I did a silver or a gold. I think I did a gold like on the little plants back here actually. But I wasn't happy with the gold. It got lost, so I pulled out black. It does unfortunately transfer over a little bit, but that's okay. It hasn't bled through to the other side, so that's fine. Good thing these are single-sided. And then we have this one here. This is another hospital one. I, of course, love sea creatures, so this page immediately called to me. Again, very bright and colourful and very, very bright, but I love colour. And this was a lot of fun, so I focused on making the plants greens and reds and browns, and then all the sea creatures blues and purple. So it's actually rainbow again too. It does use all the rainbow spectrum colours. It's just a little bit more subtle than some of the other ones. And again, I do kind of think about possibly painting around the outside. I feel like that would set this a lot more if I also coloured around the outside. So I might decide that later on. And then that is it in Nature Mandalas. And then I also have Enchanted Earth. I do not have her first one, which I would like to get my hands on eventually. I think I've only done one in Enchanted Earth. I have just this one, which I do really love. I think this turned out so nice. So this one uses distress ink and a cloud stencil in the background, and then I think I used alcohol markers to base it. I did. So alcohol markers, and then it's Polychromos pencils, stickles on the wings, of course. There is a bit of Posca for like on the strawberries, the seeds are pulled out with Posca. And then I pulled out some like decoupaging foil that I had, and I was just trialing it out and seeing how it worked in the book, and I really liked the effect. Now it worked better in sections where I could apply it bigger, so some of these tiny little dots have lost their foil, but it did work out really well. And it's just Mod Podge that I used to stick it down, and it's held it in. It's just like I said, the little areas have lost the foil. They didn't really adhere to it. It was just too little of an area. And by the time I think I put the foil down, the glue had already dried because it was so tiny. So yeah, bigger section definitely works though. And I think I want to do this again, play with some foil on a page. So yeah, that is what I have done in Enchanted Earth. Right, and then we have Birds and Butterflies by Alice Chadwick. Now, if you see anything coloured in here, it is not by me. This is a second-hand book that I purchased for $3. I think there was a couple that the original owner had maybe started doodling in. I don't mind that. I can either change it or just leave it as a tribute to the original owner. It might not even be this one. I've got quite a few second-hand books. But it's quite a cute little book. It's not something I gravitate towards, but there are a couple of pages that I do really like in here. So I need to either find the confidence to unhaul if I don't think I'm going to get to it, or choose a page and sit down and actually do it, because it is a really lovely book and it deserves some love. Another second-hand purchase is The Magical City by Lizze Mary Cullen. So I have not coloured anything in here. I'm pretty sure this is another one that may have something by the original owner. I'm not sure. But yeah, I haven't coloured in here. And I've seen a lot of people do really amazing stuff with distress inks in these books. So I think I just need to sit down and play. They're really neat though. It's a really neat book in terms of like how distorted everything is. It's quite a unique style. Alright, now we're up to Tomoko Tashiro. This is Fairy Tales colouring book. Gorgeous, gorgeous book. Really, really fine details. I think there are flip throughs on my channel of this book. But this is the only page that I have completed in here. And this is a series of videos on the channel as well. Where I talk about using washi tape for clothing. And so yeah, this of course uses washi tape, and then also uses polychromos pencils, Stickles glitter glue, uses a Deco Art metallic marker paint pen for the gems, and then I think I used Posca for like the little red flowers. Pretty sure that's everything I used in it. But yeah, I really like how this one turned out. It was a lot of work to cut out all that tape, but it's a really gorgeous book. But I mean, look at that detail. And I like detail, and even I recognize this is detail. And then another one I have by Tomoko Tashiro is Princesses and Fairies, and I am yet to colour in this one. So yeah, some of the pages are simpler, some of them are a lot more detailed, so we just need to sit down and work on it. But they're so gorgeous. I love it. Like, look at their cover art. It's just stunning. So nice. Alright. Next up is Camilla de Erico. So this one is Pop Manga Dragons and Other Magically Mythical Creatures. And I find in her books, I tend to work really loosely and messily. Kind of like takes a lot of the pressure off to be so perfect that I feel in some of her some other books. So what I produce tends to be quite fun in here, even if it's not always the cleanest. Like I literally just had to put a cut in there because I had to clean the front cover, because it turns out I got ink on it last time I worked in here. But yes, we have this adorable dragon. This is probably one of the cleaner pages. I love how this three-headed dragon turned out though. So cute. So this uses polychromos pencils and then distress ink and a bit of Posca. Very simple, but yeah, really, really cute. This one's a little bit more messy, but I really love it. This little Cthulhu. So this one uses alcohol inks, Kaisercraft shimmer spray, and then polychromos pencils, Posca, and then stickles on the bubbles. And very simple. I find that the images are quite simple, so you do tend to work quite fast for a lot of these. And again, I just like to work fast and messy and loose and just enjoy it. I feel like it matches the sort of, the fact that you've got sketch lines and stuff in the images too. And we have this sweet little Fae. This is done with ink in the background, and then Kaisercraft shimmer spray for that gold, and then the Crayola signature glitter markers for the butterfly. And then the Fae herself is coloured in with Prismacolors and a little bit of stickles on her eyes to make them shiny. And I really focused on trying to cover all the lines, so should look even more ethereal in that one. Oh my gosh, words. Alright, I think there's just one more in here. Let's hope it's not stuck together a little bit in the corners. And then we have this one here. So this one I painted the background black with acrylic, and then I used watercolors for the dragon itself. And then once that dried, I used a gold metallic gel pen to do all the markings and the markings on the wing. And I used my Kaisercraft shimmer spray to spritz all over the background, so it's got this really cool like iridescence to it, and it kind of looks like galaxy in space. And then after that, I also stuck on a couple of gems because I realized it kind of looked like the wings were like galaxies or like star constellations. Yeah, I really like how it turned out. It's just a shame I did not use a protection sheet because this was a little sticky in the corner and it appears to have stuck together, but that's okay. I should be able to remove that corner and I'll just paint the other corner black so you won't even notice. Again, I do tend to work a little messily in here, so there is like ink splatter and all that all over it, but I really enjoy the freedom that it gives me to just kind of go for it and chuck media at the book. And then the other Camilla de Erico book I have is Cute and Creepy. I don't know if I'll get a pop manga original one, but I do want a mermaid one. I do love my sea creatures, so I really think I'd have a lot of fun with mermaids. Alright, so you can see some of the splatter through here. So we have these 2 pages. So this one does have a protection sheet because it didn't originally, and then it started staining the other side. So I will eventually need to come in and fix up something on this side to account for the stain. This is the Kaisercraft shimmer spray. I use it and then I forget that I need to leave it to cure for a while so that it doesn't do this transfer. Sometimes I just spritz it, I wait till it's like what I think is dry, and then I'm like, sweet, and close the book. And it's like, no, it needs like a good 24 hours to be properly sealed and cured. And I forget it every time, particularly if I don't shake the bottles properly, which is what happened here. But that's okay. You know, we'll figure out something. Maybe I'll just grab my Distress inks and do a bit of a navy around the little fox here. But yeah, this side uses Gallery water-soluble crayons in the background, I think. No, it's definitely a pencil. It might be my Inktense. And then the Kaisercraft shimmer spray and Poscas for the stars. And then I think it was the no, it was Inktense. It was Inktense because I used Inktense on him too. And I really liked it. And it was pretty simple as well. And then a little bit of Posca for the shinies. And then this one I used Albert Dura's because it's a little bit more paler. And then just a little touch of just like a gold glitter gel paint for all the bells. Make sure we get that the right way up. I'm trying to go through my collection and put protection pages in there for most of my books, but it does take time. And I forget, which is why it's good I've done this one, but obviously we didn't get it quite in the center there. Whew. All right, got to make sure of that, because this stuff is notorious for sticking together. This is what stuck together in my Mythomorphia book, is this Deco Art shimmer top coat. It's a bit dangerous. Maybe I should put Mod Podge over it just to seal it up, but it's so shiny. I do love it. So yes, this uses acrylic paint in the background, and I used a acrylic paint that was new, and it was so shiny and so textured and so bad. It wasn't the flat matte that I thought it was, and I really hated how it turned out. So no, sorry, it wasn't acrylic paint, it was metallic paints that I used, and I hated it. So then I grabbed the Deco Art Enchanted shimmer topper and I put that over the top, so it would at least, like, the texture would look purposeful and it would look shiny and glittery on purpose. And it did really help doing that. And then for the creatures themselves, that was done with watercolor. And then I just felt like they needed to pop out a bit more, and I had done some really fun shading. So for some reason I grabbed pink. I decided a highlighter pink was the option, but I actually really dig it. Like, it's such an odd choice. I can't tell you why I decided the bubbles in the outline needed to be hot pink. I can't tell you why everything got a hot pink outline, but I like it. Again, I do weird things in these books, but I enjoy that freedom. It's very like, try the oddest ideas and they just kind of work. All right, making sure you're like right up in that crease there. Perfect. All right, so we have this one here, this double page spread. So the background was done in the Crayola signature glitter markers, and then the figures themselves were done in Prismacolor. And then it's still the Crayola signature, and then a little bit of Posca for the eyes, maybe a white gel pen. I'm pretty sure it was Posca though. So yeah, really simple but really effective. I really like the colourful background. It looks like confetti. I know you can buy these also pre-cut, the sheets, but I have so much like baking paper around that it's like I'll just use it up. So I just have to cut it to size. Right, we have Miss Muppet and her spider. I had so much fun with this one. So the background is ink and Kaisercraft shimmer spray again. And then this is another Crayola signature product that I was using up. It was like, they're called outline markers, and the idea is you colour with them and then the inner becomes a solid colour and that silver goes to the outside, or maybe it's the other way around. Yeah, the colour goes on the outside and the silver goes in the middle. It didn't really work, and by the time I finished the page, like almost all the silver had run out. So it used an entire marker just to do this page, but also I don't feel like that's enough ink in a marker to justify the marker. So yeah, and at least it got used up. And then for the creatures themselves, it is an ink base with looks like Prismacolor on top, and then definitely some Posca as well. And I really like the pink spider. Just think it's really fun. And I don't worry about like the bleed through or anything, because like even on this side, like that can be fixed up. We can paint over the back, we can do a darker background. There's ways to fix it up, and I have fixed up them in a couple of places too, which I think is coming up. Alright, so we have this dragon friend here, and it's so cute. So the dragon itself is polychromos with a touch of Posca on the eyes, and then the background is ink with Kaisercraft shimmer spray, and I think I also grabbed some white acrylic to sort of flick all over as well. So it's got a beautiful metallic shine to it, and it's just adds to that real stormy feel of the dragon. So this is one where I actually was also dealing with bleed through. No, that was the cover up. Or that, one or the other. But yeah, this one is deaf, as you can see. But super cute. So he was done in, I want to say, like Albert Drawers, I think. There's definitely a watercolor base and then a little bit of pencil on top. A little bit of Posca of the eye. Background is just ink with the Kaisercraft shimmer spray. And I definitely pulled I did that one first. The navy is the one that always bleeds through. So I try to use the navy less now, because that's the one that's really notorious for bleeding through. So what I did on this side was I painted the background black, which covered up most of the bleed through from the Kaisercraft shimmer spray. But then in the areas it did bleed onto the bandages, I was just like, well, maybe it's just her blood. And then I was like, cool, let's do a skin green. Like she's got, you know, a bit of a differently coloured blood or something. So I don't mind it. I feel like it just looks like the bandages are stained. Yeah, and it's just Inktense, polychromos pencils, acrylic paint. Simple, straightforward, really fun. And then we have this one here. So this one uses Distress inks in the background, Kaisercraft shimmer spray, and a gold metallic gel pen for all the little flowers. And I think I also grabbed some white acrylic again to do these big spots. And then the characters are done in polychromos pencils. Cool. That's everything in Cute and Creepy Pop Manga by Camilla D'Erico. Alright, next up, Kuko Osa. Anyone that knows me knows I love these books. They are new to my collection in 2023. And when I discovered just how much I adore working in them, adore. And I feel like what I produce in here, I really love as well. And it ended up, most of what I've coloured in Kuko ended up on my 2023 favourites. In fact, everything I finished ended up on my 2023 favourites because I really love them. So I do have a work in progress in this book as well. So the first one, when we get to it, is these two pages here, which I love. So we'll start with our mushroom mice friends here. I spent so long on this background. I was trying to make that bokeh style background. Not quite 100% there, but I really love what I produce, so I don't mind it's not 100%. And then I did that in polychromos pencils, entirely with pencils as well, pencil background. I did use Posca to add a little bright white spots on top as well. And then the picture itself is coloured with polychromos pencils. So apart from a little bit of Posca in the background, this is entirely pencil, which is very uncommon for me. I genuinely don't work straight pencil. But in this situation, I did, and I loved it. And then I also have this one here, which once again is entirely pencil. It's not the norm for me. I pretty much always base flat colours in a media to just colour up the paper, shade with the pencil, add a highlight with Posca, add a sparkle with stickles. Like, that's my go-to formula. But yeah, we did none of that. We've got no base, no stickles, no Posca, just pencils. But it's also, I really like it. It surprises me sometimes. So yeah, again, just all polychromos pencils. Right, so the work in progress. So I tried to work on this one during the Christmas season, and I just got so frustrated with it. So I started this for a Christmas in July, midwinter Christmas type prompt, and I got as far as trying to finish the background. It had like this wallpaper pattern, and I just got about halfway through the wallpaper and I was like, I'm so done. And then I didn't finish the prompt in time, and I was like, you know what, it's fine, I'll work on it at Christmas time. So I pulled it out to work on Christmas 2023, and I coloured in the rest of the background through the pattern, but I accidentally pulled the wrong blue because I didn't write down my colours. So I had two different types of blue in the background, and also some of the original shading I had done was really, really atrocious, and I hated it, and I was like, oh my god. And then, because I've been using a lot of gouache at the time, I was on live stream. I said, you know what, we're just going to paint over it with a dark blue gouache. Screw the background pattern. It's just going to be a really dark navy blue room. And then the gouache just wouldn't work. I was working on this on like one of the hottest days so far. It was humid, it was sticky, and the paint just kept on bunching and drying, and it just wasn't going my way. So we ended up chucking this aside and working on different stuff because it clearly was not working for me that day. And now I look at this and I'm like, oh dear God. So I think my plan of attack for this is actually to cover this in washi tape now. So that will be attempt number 3 on the walls. But I think if I use a washi tape to create like a wallpaper pattern or something, or do something, still can keep it in this dark blue, but it won't be quite as dark. It's going to be a little fussy to cut around, and I need to, because it's gouache, I need to reactivate and push back some of the blue. Like, it'll still be tinted blue, but it can at least be pushed back a little bit off the lines. That'll help out as well. And then hopefully we can carry on and save the rest of this page. So far, apart from the gouache disaster area, I've used polychromos pencils and Deco Art Enchanted shimmer for the gold, and then Glamour Dust for the glitter as well. Yeah, I do like it, except for the background, but I think some washi tape will save it. I have a plan. I think it'll work. And then I have one more completed spread in here, and that's this one. I just need to make sure. I do also have to come in here at some point and Mod Podge down in here, because there is some washi tape and it likes to lift. So I just need to seal that down properly. But yes, we have this massive double page spread, and I love this as well. I mean, it's rainbows and glitter. Of course I love it. So this uses polychromos pencils and then stickles for all the glittery spots, and then washi tape for all the clothes. And I actually did this one on stream, and I mean, shout out to my stream peeps, because the clouds themselves, this was like a 6-hour stream or 8-hour stream of me just legit colouring clouds. Nothing else. I coloured clouds for like 6 to 8 hours, and people vibed with me as I did it. Like, you know, it was just me gently colouring some blue. It's not that exciting in terms of the visual, but people hung out. So I appreciate that a lot. So yes, that is everything I have coloured in Kingdom of Curious Creatures by Kuko Osa. And then we also have one in Symphony of Cute Animals. And that is this double page spread, which was another stream one. This one took me 88 hours. It was an absolute labour of love, but oh my god, do I love it. It was a lot. It was so much time. And a big part of that was because it is primarily just polychromos pencils. So to build up the layers, to cover all the pigment, to get that coverage that I wanted, it takes time. Like, putting down a base layer really does help in terms of covering up the tooth of the paper. So there's a reason behind me doing that. Not only does it cover up the white of the paper quicker so that you can get into shading and shading things correctly, because, you know, the white's not there. The white throws off your colour balance. So chucking down a layer of colour first really helps. But then also it means you have to put down less layers to cover up the tooth of the paper. But yes, this one uses polychromos pencils, Posca, stickles for the bat, Deco Art Enchanted shimmer for the background. And I think that was it. And my favourite thing about this page is actually the marble effect. I almost wasn't going to do the marble. I had done, like, the marble itself was about 10 to 12 hours of work. I almost was not going to do the marbling, but I'm so glad I did. So glad I pushed through, even though it took a lot longer, because it's such a cool effect. So I want to try and do some more marble effects. That be something you'll be interested in? Should I do a YouTube video on how to do marbling? Make things look like stone marble? Right, I have one more Kuko Osa book, and that is Garden of Fairy Tale Animals. I have not worked in this one. Yeah, it's super cute. I just genuinely have not got onto this one yet. So, freaking love. I also have a 4th Kuko Osa because I have the Colouring Heaven 100th issue that features Kuko Osa as the artist. So, yeah, you'll see that when you get to the Colouring Heaven one. but that lives in my Colouring Heaven collection, not with the Kuko Osa books. Right, the next artist we will cover is Denise Clit. So this is Fairies in Dreamland, and I've completed one image in here, which is this gorgeous page here. I just love her style, and I feel like her work is so perfect for like lots of glitter and colourful and bright and just fun. It's just fun. So this one I used Distress Inks, I want to say it was the Liquitex acrylic inks for here, and then there's definitely some polychromos on top. The sky is done in the Gallery water soluble crayons. There's Prismacolor for the flowers, and then Posca in the sky, and then like Reno Art glitter gel paint, Posca on here as well. And then for her, she's based in alcohol markers with Prismas for her, and then all her pillows are done in cheap metallic and glitter pens, glitter and gel pens, just like every one that I had, and there's a little bit of stickles on her wings. And this was actually done for like a glitter prompt, like just use as much sparkle as you could. I think I was also going to sparkle the lake, and I never got around to it. And then I think I was also planning on originally sparkling on the flowers, and I also didn't do that. I could have added a lot more sparkle, but I quite liked where I stopped. I especially love like the glitter pillows. Like these are ridiculously shiny. So much glitter. So much glitter. So much fun. So yes, that was Denise Clit, Fairies in Dreamland. And then the other Denise Clit book I own is Gnomes in the Neighbourhood, and I have not worked in here yet. I'd like to eventually. I'd also like to get her Mermaids book, because that one just looks fantastic. Right, another unworked book is Tangle Magic. This is by Jessica Palmer. I have also not worked in here. This is something that now I would not buy, because it is that very Tangle-esque patterny vibe, and I'm trying to buy less of these because I find myself not gravitating towards these books. But I'd still really love this one. Like, I have flipped it a few times. I love this frog. Like, I do want to colour this frog. This just is so cool. Is it a frog or is it an iguana? Because it's got a tail. I keep on calling it a frog. It looks like a frog to me. But yeah, it's a really interesting style. But it's not what I gravitate towards. So I'm trying to get less of these sort of Zen doodly Tangle type books, because they just know me and it's not what I gravitate towards in terms of colouring. Right, another book I have not worked is The Beauty of Horror. I was going to work this one at Halloween and I just never quite made it. And I watch a wonderful streamer called Yellow Beans with 2 Z's on Twitch, and they pretty much only colour in the Beauty of Horror range, and it's so gorgeous what they produce. It's so stunning, and I'm like, I need to colour in my copy. I think part of it is I'm just not inspired by a lot of these images each time I go for it, but then when I look at it without the intention of colouring it, just like to have a flip through, I end up just like finding all these cool images, but then when I go to colour, I just can't find anything. Maybe I need to like tab it or something. And then carrying on with our monster theming. So this is kind of like where my colouring shelf transitions from, like we have nature, monster, and then we go into like fandom stuff. So this is like the transition, because it's monsters, but it's also fandom, because Lovecraftian, aka Call of Cthulhu. So yes, this is Lovecraft monsters. I don't know who this is. A Chartwell Books one. I I don't know who the specific artist is. I think it's one of those ones, a type of, oh, there it is there. There's a type of books where, all stock photo and designs elements Shutterstock. So they just use like elements from Shutterstock and put together various things to make a colouring book. I'm also trying to avoid buying these ones so much because, they're just not as unique. It is a cool book. Like, for someone who likes Call of Cthulhu, it works for me. Not the game, not so much the creator, the HP Lovecraft. That's a whole separate entity. But yeah, I love tabletop roleplay games, so I had a lot of fun with that. But yeah, I'm going to stick this stack back and go and get the next stack. Now we move into the more specific fandom books. These are definitely books surrounding series, novels, television, movies, games, different bits and pieces. So, first up we have the official Game of Thrones colouring book. This is different than the HBO colouring book, which I also have, which will be at the end because it's an oversized one. But yes, this is one that is based on the book designs, and I am yet to colour in it, but I keep meaning to. There's quite a few like this you'll see coming up that are produced in the same way. They have the same style of cover. In fact, here's one right here. The Throne of Glass colouring book. So this is based on the series by Sarah J. Maas. I haven't gotten too far into the Throne of Glass series. There's a lot more of them. I've read the Throne of Glass and Crown of Moonlight, I believe. I think that's 1 and 2, and I think that's the prequel. I could be wrong. It's been a while. I have, however, read the full A Court of Thorn of Roses and Crescent City, and I wish there was a Crescent City one. Oh my god, I love Crescent City. Like, A Court of Thorns and Roses is gorgeous, but I love Crescent City, and I wish there was one of these for that as well. There could be, I just haven't seen one available to me yet. But yeah, I have not coloured in this one. This was another second-hand purchase one. Good score though. I was very stoked to see that one. Speaking of A Court of Thorn and Roses, I also have that one. I also have not coloured in this one, and I re-listened because I do audiobooks, not reread books. But I re-listened to the full audiobook series recently because I was going to colour this as I listened to the audiobook series, and I did not. So I might have to re-borrow the series and then colour it in while listening to it again. It's a good series though. If you like fantasy novels, which I do. Speaking of fantasy novels, another book series book that I have is Lunar Chronicles. Lunar Chronicles is a gorgeous series. It's like sci-fi retelling of classic fairy tales. If you haven't read the series, there's quite a few of them, as you can see. And this book is based on like the characters in that series. There's one at the back that is really neat. And it's really cool as well because there's an actual thing in here from the author, Marissa Meyer, about how this whole thing came together, because she was at an event, and then one of her fans brought up like a little fragment of paper with drawings on them. And then at every event she went to, somebody else brought her up another one of these little squares, and they all came together to form a image, which is the one that's at the back here. So this was drawn by a complete fan, and she loved the line work so much that they had cut up the image, sent it to all the different fans. They'd each coloured it in, and it all got put together, and that showed her, the author, that like there's a need for a colouring book on this series. I was like, that's so cool. It's so cool that the fans managed to convince her to create a colouring book. And so she reached out to the original illustrator, which is Catherine Gee, and had her illustrate the book as well. So yeah, so neat. Alright, another book series slash game series book is The Witcher. Also, I've not coloured in this one. Yeah, this one was brought pretty much because I was watching a friend play through The Witcher video game series, and I do enjoy the television series, and I do plan on reading the books one day. I have not been able to access the books. I get free audiobooks through my library, so I can only get what I can get on there. I can't afford subscription services or buying audiobooks anywhere, unfortunately. I would love an Audible subscription, but it's not really in the budget. So instead we just get the free books in the library, and unfortunately The Witch is not available on my library audiobook app, but maybe one day. Alright, and then we have the Life is Strange colouring book. So I brought this one purely because of the video game. It's an excellent video game, but the actual colouring book is based on the comic book. So it's very interesting in terms of the line work. I'm yet to colour in it. There is a flip through on my channel of this one. Alright, and then we have two Firefly colouring books. So these are called Serenity, but it's from the Firefly series. So Serenity was the movie after the Firefly series. Excellent series. Excellent series. I really like nerd fantasy series. If you can't give it by the books that I've been showing you right now. But I started working on this one. So this is a 2023 WIP. I started working on this one while I was in a Discord hang where we were all watching Firefly together. We made it about halfway through the series, and then unfortunately we never managed to schedule a time to finish it. But we were going to watch the full series and the movie, and so I was colouring this while we were watching it, and yeah, we never quite made it back. So I might just have to finish watching it on my own, just so I can finish. I mean, I don't have to watch the series while I colour it, but it's kind of like fun to watch the series you're colouring. Yeah. So this one uses the Crayola Super Tips using the watercolour technique. And this one in particular, I was using a lot of the Colours of the World box set, the skin tone box set that they put out, because there's so many browns in that set, and it was so good for working this. And I was really focusing on like really trying to do shadings and different bits and pieces. So yeah, I really love how this one's going, and I really want to finish this one off. So yeah, just really impressed with how many tones I managed to get in there. And then the other one that I have, so there was a way to tell, this one's the same Serenity Fireclass 03 K64, but this one's everything's shiny, and this one's like the first one, I think. I don't know. I just kind of refer to them as the Serenity colouring books. But yeah, this one I have not coloured in yet. So yeah, they do have different images though, but they're really neat. That was also really another cool secondhand find. I was really stoked when I found them. Alright, so we have the Dungeons and Dragons colouring book. I do love my D&D. I am a DM for, well, most of my campaigns are on pause at the moment. I had to do a pause for my own mental health. Luckily, my campaign players are just really lovely and understanding. I ended up taking a break for most of 2023. I'm hoping to get back into it, but I'm also aware that I'm kind of running on fumes a lot these days. So yeah, we might have to switch to maybe once a month for the campaign. I might be able to handle that. We were doing fortnightly. I might see about just doing once a month and see if I can manage that. It's a big gap in between games, but you got to do what you got to do. But yeah, I have a work in progress in here. It's not going well. So I started off colouring this with ink tints, thinking it would be perfect for basing, getting down all those rich, vibrant tones so that I could colour Tasha in a really beautiful way. This is, if you've seen the cover, the standard cover to Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. Oh my god, I can't word. Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, which is a D&D 5e supplemental guide. It is a wonderful D&D 5e supplemental guide. It has got this most beautiful cover image on it, and so I really wanted to reproduce that. Oh my god, I cannot word right now. And so I thought the Inktense would be the perfect base. This paper hates Inktense. Hates it. So we got some work to do to fix it up. Yeah, that one's going to be a challenge. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to fix it yet. Carrying on with the Dungeons and Dragons themes, we have Adventures Outlined. So this is another Dungeons and Dragons official colouring book. There's also one other, I think it's called Monsters of the Realm. I would really like to be able to source that one too, but I've never ever seen it anywhere that I can access locally. I might have to look at like eBay in America or something. I don't know, maybe one day I can find it. So I have a couple done in here. I have this Beholder. This was actually for like not a monochromatic, but like where you have free colours, so you choose red and you get to do the two other colours beside it, so you get to do orange and purple. But I kind of messed it up a little bit because I actually went pink, purple, red, orange, yellow, so I kind of ended up accidentally doing 5 instead of 3. The background is all 3 because that's all red, orange, yellow. But then I've got purple and pink in the Beholder. But it also kind of works, so I don't mind it, you know? And then for some reason I also decided I really wanted to paint this one. So I did watercolour for the actual Beholder and then acrylics for the background, which does mean the Beholder looks a bit like paler compared to the background. But I kind of admire like how spooky it makes it look. Like it's almost ghostly like, which is kind of cool. And then a little bit of stickles for the magic shield that's been created and the magic on the sword and, you know, magic, sparkles. And then we have one other completed page in here, which is this massive double page spread. So most of the pages in here are single-sided, but then every once in a while there'll be a big double page spread, which is a lot of fun. And so this one is, oh my god, this was amazing to do. So I ended up using Inktense for all the background and then Posca for the highlights and the details. And then the main thing I did for this was I made my own stickles using Mod Podge and various glitters that I had. And I applied that all over this page. So this is like literal glitter that you see for the gold. And then I had these tiny nail art gems that I applied into the glitter to look like actual jewels in the glitter. In the gold, sorry. So it looks like a literal treasure trove. It's so sparkly. It's so gorgeous. I love it so much. It's going to be a nightmare to colour this page. Like, there's no way I'm using pencils on this page. I already know that. But I love how this one turned out. It's very bold and sparkly. And I did also use a black Posca, or I think it was just like a Vivid or something. I don't think I had a black Posca then to do these like bolder outlines on the dragon, just so he like popped out a bit. And I did the same on this character too because he was in the foreground, so he had to pop out a bit as well. Alright, and then I also have the 2 Critical Role colouring books. So I have Vox Machina and the Mighty 9. The Mighty 9 I have not worked in yet. I would love to work in it. I'm hoping to work in it this year. There's so many gorgeous images in these books. I've just flipped through these books so many times. Now I have done one in the Vox Machina, which is the Keyfish page. And I chose this one. Oops, so sorry. I didn't realize my phone was on vibrate. I chose this one because it's very simple, and I thought this would be a really good page to sort of test out the paper and test out some mediums. So I used alcohol markers to base everything, and then Posca to go over the lines on the water. I did some polychromos to shade in here, and then I applied a glitter gel paint, and it activated the alcohol markers, and it did cause it to bleed through. So it's something in this cheaper gel paint that reactivates markers. And after I applied it and it did it, I realized it. Like, I've had it happen before. Originally in here was white, but the gel kind of picked up the blue and went over it, and it's not even that sparkly. That's the worst part. Like, half the sparkles are already coming off. But I don't want to use Mod Podge on it because I'm scared it's going to reactivate and ruin this page even more on this side. And you can just see how much it's spread down the center as well. So we've also got like this big blue rim down here to deal with when we do this page. So yeah, I just kind of was like, okay, it is what it is. So yeah, I learned a couple of things about the paper doing this one. It's not my favourite thing in the world, but this wasn't my favourite image in the world in this book. It was a perfect one to test and screw up on. So now I know a couple of tricks for when I do go into this paper, and I can do these more detailed, beautiful pages with a little bit more care. And there are flip throughs of both these books on my channel as well. Alright, and then another Dungeons and Dragons related book is the Dungeon Meister Goblin Quest colouring book. Now there is a full flip through of this one on my channel as well. This is a really interesting one because it's a colouring book, but it's also a role-play adventure that you can actually run as a campaign. It's not like got the full things, but it does have quite a bit of detail in it. It's got maps, it's got like random encounter charts, it's got like a full story that you can do, so it's really neat. I've never seen a colouring book like it. And then it also just happens to have really gorgeous pages that are all TTRPG related. So yeah, excellent, really neat, really good paper, and I am yet to work in here, but I need to, I want to. We're getting there. Right, so I have two books that are kind of shoved at the end of this shelf. They are Fandom books, but they're odd size Fandom books, so they're shoved at the end. So the first one is Supernatural, colouring book. Now, I've never watched Supernatural. It's on my to-do list. I've been recommended it a lot. I'm probably going to like Supernatural. There's just a lot of Supernatural, and I don't have the spoons to watch all of it. It's a lot of catching up. You know, maybe one day. But I did find this one on special, so I was like, okay, I'll grab it. And I really do like the art, but I also like the fact that the back of the book comes with stills as well. So you've also got like direct references for colours if need be. So you can also use it as a reference. It also does come on this like yellow tinted paper. It's quite thin paper as well. It's not the worst paper in the world, but it's definitely a thin and yellower paper. So that's not something I've used before. So yeah, definitely this year I'd like to colour in this, probably around Halloween. It feels like a Halloween book. And then the other odd size Fandom book I have is Pokemon Creative Colouring. So I brought this one thinking it would be a super cute Pokemon colouring book, especially for the price I paid for it. I paid a very overpriced price for it. Again, this is before I knew a couple of things about where to get my books from. It is not great. I have seen people doing great things in this book, so there are potential. There are these really gorgeous double page spreads where you know, you've got all your creatures and they're quite cute. Like, I can see this. I can have fun with this. The backgrounds are copy and pasted. They've literally taken this background and just shoved the Pokemon on here, and you can see this background in a couple of images, which I don't like. You also then have a bunch of these pages where the pattern is just repeating. Yeah, so, you know, like this. And then unfortunately they have the double page spread. So this is what I mean about the copy and paste background. Yeah. So they have like the double page spreads, and then they'll do a pattern page, and then they'll do a few double page spreads. If they had done pattern page, double page spread, pattern page, double page spread, I could have like at least used markers. Like here I can, because we've got double-sided each side. So it's like perfect. I could go in here with markers. I don't care about the pattern pages. And we could colour this one with markers. So there are pages that I could see having some fun with. There's also, I love water Pokemon. I mean, there's no surprise in that. I'm a water Pokemon. I love a water fiend. Oh my god, I really can't word. I am a water baby. I love my water Pokemon. I also got like fairy type, but yeah, I do love my water Pokemon. So I really would like to colour some of the water Pokemon in here. But again, it's not the greatest paper. It's not my favourite book in the world. But if I eliminate the pattern pages as pages I have to do and just focus on the cute actual spread pages, I think it'll make it a little easier to tackle. Like, I don't have to colour the whole book. I could just colour the pages that I like, the big double page spreads, and then just consider it done. There's no rule saying I have to colour all those pattern pages in. They can just be test pages. Right, and then there are 2 more books on this shelf, and they actually live on the top of the books, on top of the shelf. I mean, in the shelf, but on top of the books, because they are massive books and they don't stand up vertically. But they relate to the nerd theme. They will just fit in. So the first one is the HBO Game of Thrones colouring book. So I had the George R. R. Martin Game of Thrones colouring book. This is the HBO version. So this one is based on the television series. So this one actually uses the actresses and actors' faces instead of like the book descriptors. It does also have a bunch of landscapes. There's some really beautiful images in here. I love this angle. I just think that's gorgeous. So yeah, this is another one that I would really like to colour in. It's also really big. Really, really big. Like if I compare this to your bog standard square book, you can see just how much bigger it is. So that's why it lives on the top of the shelf, because it's oversized. And then our other oversized book that relates to the fantasy-esque is the Anne Stokes colouring book. So this one's not specific fandoms, but it is like dragons and creatures and fae, and it just feels fantasy related. I mean, it does say fantasy colouring book on the cover, so I feel like it can live in that sort of nerd fantasy. It's a weird shelf. It makes sense in my brain. And I do have the Colouring Heaven Anne Stokes colouring book. That's actually what got me to buy this one. I do prefer this one because the lines, it's bigger. The lines are clearer. You get more detail. It's just so much more clearer. So yeah, I have the Colouring Heaven one, but I've only worked in this one. And I haven't done a lot in here. I've just done the one, which I did for Christmas time. But oh my gosh, do I love it. She's so pretty, and she's super sparkly as well. So the background in this is Distress Inks, and then I used a silver Posca marker to do all the snowflakes, and then the centre of the snowflakes and the little holographic dots themselves are actually a holographic sequin. And then for her, I use Prismacolor pencils, and I use the Deco Art Enchanted Shimmer in like a really super thin glaze over her dress and her wings, both the blue and the silver. and a little bit of stickles on her dress as well for some concentrated sparkles, and then a bunch of sequins for her headdress as well. But yeah, I really love, just like, look how sparkly it is. Look how shiny. I'm such a magpie. But yeah, this was really fun because I wanted to do a non-Christmas page. Like I wanted to do something in blues and silvers, and an ice fairy just kind of felt appropriate, even though Christmas is in the middle of summer here. But yeah, that is my completed shelf 2. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Right, I need to go and put a pile of books away again. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure down below to give this video a thumbs up and comment, let me know what are your favorite books in the collection. What were your favorite pages? Is there a book I should work on ASAP? Is there something that needs to be colored ASAP? And also, how do you sort your weird books that are all the same size but a bunch of different authors? Are you like me? You just kind of categorize them together by you're kind of nature-y, you're kind of fantasy, you're definitely fandom, or are you alphabetical order? How do you like to sort your books? I'm kind of curious about that. And if you want to flip through of any of the books mentioned that aren't already on the channel, let me know down below. Even if you think there's one on the channel already, let me know, and I'll let you know if there's already one up and give you a link to it if you can't find it. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I hope you're enjoying seeing everything in my collection and everything I've ever coloured in my collection. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Bye!